Hello guys, this is UniversalGiant. Welcome back for more of Let's Play Pokémon SoulSilver. Last time, we defeated Misty of the Cerulean City Pokémon Gym and got ourselves the Cascade Badge. Today, we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff that we could have probably done before, but I was a little bit too anxious to move on with the rest of the story to do. And make our way, finally, towards Pewter City through the Diglett Cave. But first, now that we've restored power to the power plant, the underground path is actually open. And down here are a couple of interesting things. A few hidden items that I always seem to remember are here, and something I honestly didn't. Because I want to say this is the very first time I've ever come down to the underground path in Heart Gold and SoulSilver. The reason being, I don't remember this guy being here at all. But if you've been watching for a very long time, you may remember that there was a guy in Mahogany Town that gave us a Rage Candy Bar, and I mentioned there was a reason why it was a key item as opposed to something you could just give to your Pokemon to heal it. This is the guy it's for! And if we give it to him, he may give us something in return. There we go. TM64! I don't remember what this one is, actually. Boom! Yeah, it's pretty obvious what it is at this point, isn't it? I'm gonna have to turn down the volume on that one. TM64 is nothing less than Explosion, whopping 250 base power. But, if your Pokemon uses it, it dies, right then and there. Very unfortunate to use against a Ghost type or somebody who's protecting, but nonetheless, it can prove to be useful in some cases. And going through the underground path takes us all the way back to Route 6. And if you remember, this is the route that leads to Vermilion City. Now, unfortunately, not much has changed here. We've gone all the way around, but the problem is, Snorlax is still here and we don't have a way of waking it up. Or do we? You may remember, now that we've restored power, the radio tower is working again. So if we make our way all the way back to Lavender Town, well, maybe we could do something about that Snorlax. Let's see, who do we talk to? Probably the guy who was running around back and forth, who I mentioned was probably the director. Yup. Maybe you're not the director. Well, regardless, he is the director. He upgrades our Pokégear so we can now listen to the radio stations here in Kanto that we apparently needed an expansion card for. And this works the same way as the other one does. Oh, that Lullaby is still playing on Ben's channel. Trainer profiles, Pokemon Search Party, Mariano. Okay, so we've got a lot of the same channels that we had before. But before we wake up that Snorlax, we have a couple of fights that I want to get out of the way. Are they necessary? Absolutely not, but I figure we're here. I kind of want to get as many trainer battles out of the way as possible so I get minimize the amount of... I have not picked an Apricorn in what feels like years. But I'll have to do experience training at some point, and I figure this is a little bit easier for me to do anyway. Plus, if anything interesting happens along the way, if I run into any interesting Pokemon, I can show you guys! And it'll be fun. I do not think I will ever get tired of this battle music. Something I'm very glad they changed in the 5th generation games is that they actually give you trainers that are somewhat higher level than what you would expect them to be, but they're not high enough level that you wouldn't be able to deal with them, so it makes leveling up a lot less of an issue. But here we have two Pokemon from the Hoenn region, Seedot, the pure grass type, and Lotad, the grass water type. Very interesting typing on that guy, and thankfully he's weak to flying, so I can still do that. But the first time we get to see Flamethrower in action. Not as powerful as Fire Blast, but it does not miss, and that makes me happy! Poor Seedot. Those things are so annoying in the Hoenn games when you first start playing it through. They have the move Bide, which forces your Pokemon to not be able to do anything in 2 turns. But after those 2 turns, if that Pokemon has sustained any damage, it deals twice that amount of damage to the Pokemon opposing it at the very start of the next turn, before it even has a chance to do anything, regardless of what its speed is. I don't know, but we can actually find out now. That's actually not a bad idea. We could make our way over back to Saffron City, because as you can see, this is the trio of biker trainers that we fought to get the TM for Torment before, and... Can we go through this? No, we can't go through, right. I was thinking, confusing it with the other underground path that we can actually go through. But as you can see, we're all the way back in Saffron City. Now, I won't be spending too much time here. I just want to get started on getting the magnet train to work. Because if you remember, the copycat girl in this house had to be kicked out of her house for them to build the magnet train. And now that the magnet train is running again, maybe she'll tell us something different. Well, that's a start. She lost her Pokédoll, apparently. And it's apparently in Vermilion City. It's a shame that we flew all the way away from Vermilion City so that we have to go all the way back there, and it's going to be a really long walk. I mean, you know how long it takes to get from one city to the next in this game? They're so spread apart from each other. It's insane how long it takes to... There we are. And there's the fan club. You gotta figure the fan club is probably where somebody left their Pokédoll. Did you happen to steal that from a little girl? Probably did. And for talking to this guy, we get her Pokédoll back. So now that we have this... I was totally not expecting to see the champion of the Hoenn region here after getting some girl's lost Pokédoll. Hi, Steven Stone, how you doing? In another life, maybe? You gotta admit, even if this game doesn't have the best sense of humor, when it hits hard, it hits hard. But if we actually go about this Magnet Train side quest, he shows us a powerful Dragon Psychic-type Pokemon from the Hoenn region called Latios. If you're playing Heart Gold, you'll see Latios, which is the red one. And much like the legendary beasts Entei and Raikou, Latios, I didn't mean to call you Brent. Thanks. Latios is going to be roaming around the region now, and you can see he's in the route immediately to our north, which is nice because that's where I was heading in the first place. But he's going to be roaming around, so we could feasibly go around and catching him. Unfortunately, he moves every time your location changes, so he's just as annoying to catch as the beast. I haven't decided when I'm going to go about catching him. I don't know, maybe I'll stick it in the same video as Suicune if Suicune's catch goes well enough. Speaking of which, we should probably go back and do that before not too long. So many things we could do. There's so many extras I feel like doing, but I just don't know when to fit them in. That's something I wanted to ask you guys about too, but a little on that after we return our Clefairy doll. And with that, we get a pass that'll allow us to use the Magnet Train. And that will allow us to go straight from Saffron City back over to Goldenrod. But we don't really have a reason to go to Goldenrod right now. We do, however, have a reason to go back to Lavender Town. Did we get the expansion card already? I want to say we got the expansion card already. Why am I forgetting things that happened 10 minutes ago? What did we still have left to do? There was still that Snorlax we have to catch, right? Is this the third or fourth time we've been on this route? It's stupid how many times we've been on this route. Is Latios here? No, I'm just making sure he's not. It'd be kind of cool for us to run into him at some point arbitrarily, like we ran into Entei a couple of times, but that's not very likely to happen. Anyway, now that we have the means to wake this guy up, I'm probably going to save because I would very much like to catch him if possible. Because unlike the first generation, this is the one and only time we'll get to catch this guy. Except he may come back after you defeat the Elite Four again, I'm not entirely sure. But if we move the cursor around a little bit more off the beaten path so it isn't in one of the regular stations, you'll find the Pokeflute station. And you know what the Pokeflute does? It wakes up sleeping Pokemon. And you better bring your A-game for this fight, because this Pokemon is a whopping level 50. Not many wild encounters that aren't legendaries that you can find that are level 50. Now, I'm also going to refrain from using Flamethrower because most Snorlax have the ability Thick Fat, which reduces the strength of fire and ice moves. Very nice for that flinch to kick in on Dark Pulse. But the annoying thing is that Snorlax has Leftovers, which recovers 1/16 of its max HP at the end of every turn, which is going to make this fight go for a much longer time than it probably needs to. I'm also surprised that Dark Pulse is getting as many flinches as it is. It's usually a very small percentage of the time that it does flinch. But the one thing you want to be very careful of with Snorlax is it has a particular move that I'm waiting for cutting out the battle just to show off, because it's very, very frustrating when something you're trying to catch has that move. I'm secretly hoping he does, but I'm also secretly hoping he doesn't because it would make my life more difficult. This is not one of them! That's Giga Impact, the physical Hyper Beam. That will probably knock us out because it's stab and we have lower defense. So now I'm questioning who I should bring in on this guy. I'm guessing I'll bring in Krako. But I'm also unsure about whether or not I want to paralyze it. I guess I'll paralyze it. I'm thinking about whether or not the additional catching chance from having it paralyzed would offset the fact that it's gaining back 1/16 of its HP at the end of this turn also. But it has to recharge because it used Giga Impact last time. So let's see what we can do about catching this thing. What Pokeballs do we have left? Heavy Balls are a godsend for catching this thing, but otherwise, just go with what got you here. I guess I'll just chuck Pokeballs at it. I don't have a reason not to. I don't remember his catch rate either. It can't be all that high, but it's probably not that low either. It doesn't know... Okay, what moves has it used? It's used Giga Impact, it's used Block, it's used Crunch. Does it not know Rest? I was going on the assumption that this thing had a move that would put it to sleep for 2 turns, but restore all of its HP to full. It doesn't have Rest? What Snorlax doesn't have Rest? Oh well. I guess I'll speed up until I catch it. No reason for me not to at this point, right? Unless this ball happens to work, but if it does, then you know I'm not speeding it up and you know I catch it. Where's the fun in that? Probably none. Oh, its last move is Rollout. That's useful to know. All things considered, that didn't take too long. Snorlax, the fat-ass Pokemon! I mean sleeping Pokemon. Stomach's digestive juices can dissolve any kind of poison, although it still gets hurt by poison moves. That totally makes sense. You know, I can eat things off the ground too! But you can see it's a whopping 1,000 pounds. So if you have a heavy ball, I want to say if it's not a sure catch on this thing, it's pretty damn close. But regardless, now that we've removed him from that route, although we could have gotten there from the opposite side, we can actually fight the trainers over there, which I suppose we'll do for the rest of the video. You know what I think my main point of confusion was with regard to where all the Snorlaxes were and where they actually weren't, even though this was the only one in the game? I was confusing their locations with where they are in the original Red, Blue, and Yellow. Boy, I'm glad I have Lupus out here because you're a psychic! I was so well prepared for this fight, you might say. I saw it coming. No? Fine. You may also remember down here there was a sandbar in Vermilion City that we couldn't actually get to because it was blocked off by a fence. Well, we can get here now! and learn that it's the Sticky Barb. This is an item that you most likely do not want to hold on to, and it's very unfortunate when you get it in Challenge Cup. Damages the holder every turn, although if you attack it or if your foe attacks you, there's the chance that it may latch onto the opponent as well. Although I want to say your opponent has to have no items on them in order for that to work. I also want to say that there's an item on the sandbar over here that we could surf to, but my memory is a little bit fuzzy in that regard, and I'm not sure if there is. I do so hope that there is, because I'm not really in the mood to surf all the way over here for nothing. There we go, a big pearl. That'll sell for a nice amount of money. Also have a nugget I could sell off. And there's another pearl out here. It's very rare that you only find 1 or 2 pearls in the same area. There are usually 3 of them. In every game that pearls exist, there are usually trios of pearls, one being big and the other one being small. There's another item around here somewhere, but where in the world is it? I'm afraid to surf for it, because if I put up my dowsing machine, it's just going to go away every time I have a wild encounter. Did I never surf to the sandbar up there? I'm pretty sure I did. Where else could it be? Item? Where are you, item? You're not up here. I could have sworn I got all the hidden items that were over there, so it must be over here somewhere, right? You would think. No, it's not. It's further over to the other side. I don't know. I don't care about it that much. It's not going to be that important if I can't find it, but I don't like walking into the tall grass more than I have to, and I don't like wasting repels if I don't have to, so it's probably annoying the hell out of you guys. Is there anything up there? Is anybody still watching the video at this point? All I'm doing is going through battles that I'm most likely cutting out because they aren't all that interesting. Why do people watch this? But saying that only makes me appreciate you guys more, if that makes any sense. Maybe you should not wear shorts and run around in tall grass. Just a thought. But that's why I have so much respect for you guys, and why I will never stop telling you just how much I appreciate the fact that you watch these. That you take 15 to 20 minutes out of your daily routines, out of your lives, that you will never be able to get back to watch some idiot play a video game. And while I'll never understand it, I have fun, you have fun, everybody wins. This guy's doing his best red impression. Who's he? We'll get to that. Oh, you're talking now. But one of the things I really enjoyed about the 5th generation is that even though... I forgot I was holding the right button. Even though the post-game doesn't have nearly as much to it as, say, this game and its... I don't know. If you want to call Kanto a post-game, but... in the 5th generation, they drop you into an area where you have trainers that are 10 to 15 levels above where you were used to fighting. Here, they're about the same level as they were when we left Johto, so we're not all that far off from where we were before, and it's a little difficult to gain levels. But I digress. Next time, we'll make our way through Diglett's Cave and up to Pewter City. This is UniversalGiant, and I promise, unlike the Fire Red stream, I will bring someone who knows cut before I enter Diglett Cave. Why? We'll find out next time. See you then.